Hi boys and girls, this is your math e-learning lesson for Tuesday, May 12th. Today we're going to be working on lesson 133, renaming fractions. When you rename fractions, you need to multiply the fraction by a fraction name for 1. So for example, if we have 1/2 and we want to come up with an equivalent fraction to 1/2, we simply need to multiply 1/2 by a fraction named for 1. So we can say, how about 2/2? Now again, it doesn't matter which fraction name for 1 you use as long as it is a fraction name for 1, because you always want to make sure that whatever you multiply the numerator by, you're multiplying the denominator by the same number as well. So 1 times 2 equals 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4. So 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent. Now, as I said here, we are multiplying the fraction by a fraction name for 1. So we multiply the 1/2 by 2/2. Also, you need to remember that when you are multiplying fractions, it's not like adding or subtracting fractions, because when you multiply the fractions, you multiply the denominators as well as the numerators. Okay, if we needed a fraction name for 1/4, we could multiply by 3/3. And 1 times 3 equals 3, and 4 times 3 equals 12. And that 1/4 is equal to 3/12. So very easy to write an equivalent fraction. All you need to do is to multiply the fraction by a fraction name for 1. Again, doesn't matter what fraction name for 1 you use. The idea is that whatever you're multiplying the numerator by, you're multiplying the denominator by as well. Now, many times in the math lessons, they will give you a denominator of the fraction. For example, let's say, 1/4, and they want you to write a fraction that's equivalent to 1/4, but they want you to have 16ths. So how many fourths equals the 16th? So then what you have to do is, since they've already given you a denominator, you have to look and ask yourself, what did you multiply the 4 by to equal 16? And you multiplied it by 4. So therefore, since you're multiplying the denominator by 4, you have to also multiply the numerator by 4. And 1 times 4 equals 4. So 1/4 is equal to 4/16. So that's very common here in the book, where they're going to give you a denominator and you have to write an equivalent fraction based on that denominator. So then you cannot just randomly pick a fraction name for 1. You have to look to see what did you have to multiply the numerator by to get the denominator that they have given you. All right, let's take a look at the practice, and I think if we go through that, you'll understand it better. All right, so let me get this down. We have 1/4, 12. And you should be taking a look as I'm writing to see if you can figure out what the missing numerators should be. Okay, so this one, which is actually one that they gave us as the original example, 1/4 is equal to how many 12ths? So then you have to say, well, what did you do to 4 to get 12? You multiply by 3, therefore you multiply the numerator by 3, and 1 times 3 equals 3. So that 1/4 is equal to 3/12. Okay, here we have fifths and tenths. 3/5 is equal to how many tenths? Well, what do you do to 5 to get 10? You multiply by 2, so therefore you multiply the numerator by 2, and 3 times 2 equals 6. 2/3 is equal to how many 12ths? How do you get 12 when you started with 3? What do you multiply 3 by to equal 12? Remember, we're multiplying, so you're just thinking about your basic multiplication facts. 3 times 4 equals 12, so therefore I have to multiply the numerator by 4, and 2 times 4 equals 8. 2/3 equals how many ninths? 3 times what equals 9? 3 times 3 equals 9. So therefore 2 times 3 equals 6. 5 6 is equal to how many 12s? What do you multiply 6 by to get 12? You multiply by 2. 6 times 2 equals 12. Therefore 5 times 2 equals 10. And 3/4 is equal to how many eighths? What did you multiply the 4 by to get 8? You multiplied by 2. 4 times 2 equals 8. 3 times 2 equals 6. Okay, now, is it necessary for you to write the little, multiplying by, whatever your number is or whatever the fraction name for 1 is? No, that's not necessary. It's what I did so that you can see what it is we are actually doing. And that each time, whatever you multiply the numerator by is what you must also multiply the denominator by. So if they give you a specific denominator and you have to fill in the numerator, you do have to look to see what did you need to multiply by to get that denominator. So you cannot just use a random fraction name for 1. You will have to multiply by whatever it is you needed to get that number. So in this case, 4 times 2 equals 8. So then you have to multiply the numerator by 2. But again, each time you are writing a fraction name for 1, you are multiplying by a fraction name for 1. Okay? The only time, as I said, you have to be a little bit more careful with that is when they have given you a denominator and you're looking for the missing numerator. So then you're limited, of course, to what it is you're multiplying by. Okay, so today you have lesson 133, numbers 1 to 30. Don't forget, spend some extra time on Extra Math and IXL. If you're unsure about this or if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to me so I can help you out and get you on the right track. Okay? So take your time, work carefully, and as I said, if you need my help, you know where to find me. I'll see you later. Bye.